Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon, not here with Geeky Sparkles in this video. She had some dental work done. She's still recovering. So next couple of videos is probably just going to be me. We're going to talk about the situation with NetEase. NetEase, of course, is the publisher of the very popular Marvel Rivals, and they're a Chinese company that has their fingers into many, many different gaming studios. And now it looks like they're going to be cutting even more jobs. Now, we've been covering this for about a week or so now. They laid a bunch of people off, including the entire Seattle team for Marvel Rivals. And the unofficial explanation for that, which has been making the rounds, is that the reason they're cutting loose a lot of their Western developers is that they are woke and lazy. That is the rumor going around. And it may be true. And it could come down to just the Chinese wanting to have more control over all of their stuff. It could be a financial decision because, as we're going to talk about later in the video, things are tough all over in gaming. I mean, it's not a good time to be a game developer, right? There is a massive purge going on. And I personally think this is about right sizing. I think this is about getting the industry back to profitability, which means we're going to have a lot fewer big budget AAA titles that nobody buys. You know, the $300, $400 million games nobody's buying. We're not going to be doing those. We might be doing fewer live service games because, with the exception of Marvel Rivals, most of these games have not been that successful, right? Like, players are over it. And I think we're going to maybe see a pivot back to AA titles with more, single player or, what they call couch play elements, right? Going back to basics. I would love to see a company come out, whether it's Nintendo or PlayStation. Like, I would love to see the PlayStation 6 actually be a downgrade. Like, wouldn't that be awesome? Like, the PS6 is actually mostly offline and it plays kind of old school style games. And you could even make the PS6 in like freaking rock candy colors from the late 90s, early 2000s. That would be amazing. I would buy the hell out of that. And I think gamers would go for it. But I don't know. We're basically just kind of marching toward the video game singularity where all consoles become PCs, and people are playing games for years. And if they're all live service, like why would you go buy new games, right? Especially since the old games are better. And we've talked about this at length. But we're going to talk about more cuts coming to NetEase and what could be behind that. According to Rock, Paper, Shotgun, now, I do not believe Rock, Paper, Shotgun, given their leanings, are going to run with the rumor that NetEase is cutting people loose based on their laziness or their wokeness. But it does make sense. So we're going to talk about that. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture, news, views, and rants, guys. And speaking of which, I did have this pulled up. This is actually our Substack. We're going to try something different. We're going to try to push you guys over to the Substack for notifications because Google is failing us in that regard. Some of you are getting notified of new videos. Some of you are not getting notified of new videos. If you go subscribe at clownfishtv.substack.com, every time we post a new episode, you guys will get an email notification so you know that there's something new to watch. Gonna try that because we've had people complaining and I don't have any control over it, but YouTube is being YouTube, right? Again, that's clownfishtv.substack.com. So this is coming from Rock, Paper, Shotgun. Again, this is kind of a follow-up to all the layoffs and the rumors that people are getting laid off because they're too damn woke and too damn entitled and too damn lazy. More job cuts are waiting to bite at NetEase Studios, according to insiders. So this is Brendan Caldwell from former features editor on Rock, Paper, Shotgun. He says corporate gaming giant NetEase are hunting for more jobs to slash among their overseas studios, according to insiders who spoke to Bloomberg and GameFall last week. The parent company recently cut a bunch of U.S. jobs among the Marvel Rivals developers, despite the game raking in a big profit. That actually surprised me. Now, a lot of people are like, I told you so. It's because they're woke. We didn't know that at first. In fact, it was kind of spun to the media that Thaddeus Sasser was like the guy for Marvel Rivals. So it was surprising to a lot of people that they would do that. But it doesn't matter. I mean, you can you've got a profitable company. You always want to make it more profitable, especially these corporations, especially, a Chinese company like this. They're going to want to make things even more profitable, right? It looks like that was just the start of a larger mauling, which may hit up to 20 of the company's non-Chinese studios. So they are, okay. So they are covering the same rumor that I think Grum's had it out there. A couple other people had it out there on X a couple of days ago. Except they're going to come out from a different angle. They're going to be like, oh, yeah, they're just getting rid of non-China because of money. And it's like, no, they're getting rid of the non-Chinese studios because they don't want to deal probably with the West. They don't want to deal with Western activists. They don't want to pay the ridiculous salaries. They don't want to deal with the unions. Let's see what they say. NetEase is actively shopping around more of its non-Chinese studios, many of the very same ones it announced over the last 3 years, says Stephen Totillo in a report for GameFile. One of GameFile's sources says NetEase plans to divest itself of the majority of its overseas teams, leading to the potential closure of more than a dozen game studios if they can't secure new post-NetEase funding. Yeah, I think the funding is part of it, right? I think it's not worth it to them to deal with the West. Again, you're talking Canada, you're talking Seattle, you're talking exorbitant salaries, you're talking probably unions, which means everybody's, going to be very, very hard to fire. And the rents are killer. And there is a lot of entitlement. And again, I was under the impression that the guy in Seattle was the guy for Marvel Rivals. And it turns out that is not actually the case. So who the hell knows what's going on, right? I just think a lot of these companies, and we're going to talk more about some of these other companies, they're going to take a good hard look at where they're at and be like, basically like Elon Musk, they're going to doge the entire video game industry. They're going to be like, what can we cut and still have this industry function? Just like Twitter, you walk in, be like, yeah, let's fire 80% of the people here because 80% of the people working in this industry aren't really bringing anything to the industry. The 20%, the developers, the programmers, the people actually make the games. Yeah. These other people, the social media managers and the chief vibe officer, and what I'm saying, like you cut them out of it. And this is the only way you can make your games profitable. When you're dropping, so if you drop $200 million on a game, how much of that is going to actual game development, and how much of that crap is going to bloat? Like, oh, our DEI officer at $200,000 a year, and our, whatever gauntlet of people who want to get their fingers into the story, and maybe we've got way too many play testers or quality assurance people. You know what I'm saying? It used to be back in the day that most of the games that we loved growing up were done with a skeleton crew. Hell, some of the games were done with like a couple of people. I'm thinking back to Ultima. That was Lord British working out of his freaking bedroom, right? And he did it as a teenager. He created the first three Ultima games. I'm pretty sure he did them himself. So, you know what I'm saying? And it became this huge franchise. And same with Minecraft, and same with so many other games. Skeleton crews. And because everybody working on the game had something valuable to contribute. Anyway, back to the article. Among the overseas studios owned by NetEase are French studio Quantic Dream. They've been in trouble. They acquired it in 2022. Nagoshi Studio, which was a venture set by a former Yakuza director. Oh boy. The corporate behemoth also owns several overseas studios that haven't released a game yet, such as US studio Bullet Farm and Bad Brain Game Studios in Canada, among 16 other studios in various countries. It's not clear which of these studios are on the chopping block. They might all be on the chopping block. Well, some of them weren't, because I guess Grum's actually had gone out and confirmed, or he had actually posted confirmation that some of these studios are marked safe. I think if they're actually producing something of value that NetEase can look at and be like, yeah, okay, we'll bring this to market. It doesn't cost a fortune. You're not going to be a pain in the ass to deal with. This thing might actually make money. But that's what's going on here, just all the way around. And it's not just NetEase. All these companies are going to have to pivot to profit, except for Ubisoft. Ubisoft is running headfirst into the freaking wood chipper. Like, they don't have any concept of scaling back. They just think that the more money they spend, the more woke they go, the more money they're going to make. It's like, no, Didn't you get the memo, Ubisoft? It's not 2017 anymore. But everybody else, they're pivoting, right? NetEase are also partial owners of Polish studio Rebel Wolves, the developer of recently revealed RPG The Blood of Dawnwalker. But they're minority shareholders, as clarified by the co-owner on LinkedIn. Dawnwalker is fully funded, not in danger. Okay. The development of our game is progressing steadily. We're facing no financial issues. Again, if they're minority stakeholders, shareholders, and it's not fully owned, then they can do what they got to do, right? A pattern of cuts to relatively new NetEase studios has already emerged, as noted by Edwin. Recently, NetEase has pulled funding for Worlds Untold, split with Jar of Sparks, and laid people off at Liquid Swords. All these studios were recently set up by industry veterans who worked on games like Mass Effect, Halo, and Just Cause. Now, this is really interesting that they're cutting these people loose. You know what Hasbro's doing right now? We talked about this in a video too. You can go find it. They're betting the farm on a AAA game that's being developed by people that worked on Mass Effect. Like they're literally betting everything. They're betting heavy on AAA gaming, and as AAA gaming is imploding, again, Hasbro it feels to be like they're running into the wood chipper. Like, what are you doing? They're spending hundreds of millions of dollars to create a game that admittedly looks okay. I mean, it looks all right, but it's done by some of the guys that worked on Mass Effect. But I think by the time it comes out, nobody's going to care, and they're not going to look at Hasbro and be like, yeah, this is a video game company. They're a AAA gaming studio. There's all the AAA gaming studios are paring back or shutting down, and Hasbro's like, yeah, let's go be a AAA gaming studio. That's what people want. The move is a strategic set of cutbacks envisioned from on high, according to Bloomberg, who report that NetEase CEO William Ding has reasserted his leadership with a series of dramatic decisions over the past year. Again, the rumor is we don't want to deal with the West. They're too woke. They're making us go broke. They're lazy. They're entitled. And if we can cut these people loose, let's cut them loose, right? They said that they include hiring a number of 20-something finance graduates to lead or supervise gaming units, according to the newspaper's sources. What the hell are they thinking? NetEase laid off almost 900 workers from various game subsidiaries over the course of 2023. But when asked about the status of overseas studios on a conference call last week, Ding responded via translator to say the company will continue to support high-quality studios and really master creators. That's our strategy. Translation: you're going to have to perform. And if you're lazy and entitled and woke and you're not a good creator, you're not going to last. So they are confirming it in a roundabout way, right? They are confirming this in a roundabout way. If you're one of the 448,000 players who played Marvel Rivals at the height of its popularity on Steam, you may be looking at those laid off and wondering what counts to Ding as high quality. Well, yeah, but as it turns out, there was a little bit of spin, wasn't there? It turns out that the U.S. team really didn't have as much to do, reportedly, as the Chinese team did when it comes to Marvel Rivals. So, they're going to say that they did, obviously. They're probably very angry about being laid off, obviously. I don't know if you're going to hear much from that team because I think they probably have an NDA. They probably got some kind of a buyout, which means they have to shut up. And those NDAs can go for years. I mean, you might not hear the full story of what happened with Marvel Rivals until like 2027 or 2028. Who knows? So let's just take a real quick look at the status of the AAA video game industry. This is coming from, let's see, gaminglayoffs.com. Yeah, Boss's Studio just laid a bunch of people off. They did Lost Skies. Right? And this was like today. Yeah, it was today. So just since the beginning of the year, and this isn't even counting last year. Last year was awful. These are all the companies that have laid off. We got Jar of Sparks, Rocksteady, Splash Damage, Free Jam, Counterplay Games, Piranha Games, Tobian Interactive, Highwire Games, Microsoft, Soul Assembly, Machine Zone, Wargaming USA, Huge Games, Reflector Entertainment, Unchained Entertainment, Ubisoft, Leamington, Ubisoft multiple locations, Moon Active, Phoenix Games, Fast Travel Games, BioWare, Midnight Society, Iron Galaxy Studios, Probably Monsters, Hi-Rez, Unity, Crytek, 1010 Games, Liquid Swords, Toast Interactive, NetEase Seattle, Night School Studios, Striking Distance Studios, and Bossa Games. And that, again, 2024 was so much worse, but 2025 is not off to a good start. And even profitable studios are going to look to trim the fat because they got to survive, right? These games take years to come out and they have to survive. This is crazy. Yeah, it's just everything's imploding, guys. Again, back to Hasbro. I'm like, what are you guys thinking? What are you thinking? So there it is. There's more cuts coming. I think he's basically confirming the rumor, though, that the reason they're cutting is to get rid of Western developers because they're not bringing anything. So I'm going to wrap it up. Please subscribe. Again, check out the Substack, clownfishtv.substack.com if you want to get notified of new videos. Hopefully this helps, and we'll talk to you guys later.